press the record button. And then,
Right.
what up, Jackie Chan? How's it going, man?
Yo, it's going good, man. Just
How's
trying to set up for these provisionals here.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, we're doing a deck doctor here today. This is our second chance for our February deck docs. For anybody in the uh Twitch chat, !deck doc gets you the info. You can spend one whole channel point to put yourself in the queue in order to do it. If you were here on Monday and you did a deck doc, let's save it for the people who didn't get a chance to. My hair's going crazy, man. I was supposed to get a haircut today, but I woke up too late, so I'm wearing a hat. So Jackie Chan, hit me with the elevator pitch for your super rad Eraserhead deck. You said this is going to be your provisional deck.
That's what I'm guessing. I've never done like an event like this before, so I guess the slight jitters are probably pretty normal, but
For
trying
sure.
to trying to commit to a deck, and I was playtesting a lot with like all my three, I think. Yeah, the one that
Okay.
gains bonus with like the rival's hand and everything.
Right.
Mm. And so I've been just like looking around, and I've played the Eraserhead a lot, or I haven't I've played against him a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I get the mechanics of like how he's supposed to be good and like stays good throughout the matches, and so I was like, well, maybe I should just lean toward a deck that I guess I've been mostly worried about how I want to how to put it how I want to negate or navigate like playing against different leaders and be
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, instead of me maybe worrying about what cards I need to, because like I think there's going to be a lot of showings, like there's going to be a lot of representation for like or there's going to be lots of diverse representation. Um,
Right.
and so instead of trying to like, that's what I was trying to do with all my deck, where I was like, oh, well, no matter, what leader they are, I'll just, if they have a lot of cards in hand, I'll be able to gain advantage, whatever decks they are, mostly. But then I was like, well, maybe that's not going to be good enough, and I'll need to. I was like figuring like if I can erase their leaders, like most leaders, if I can just erase their leaders, I don't have to think about what they're going to do, like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
kind of defend and just kind of outsmart my opponent.
Okay, so bring me through this attack lineup. 22 attacks in a 64 card deck. That is a little high for a seven hand size
Yeah.
character. Hit me with your thought process on this attack package.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess I want to be able to hit. I want to be able, like on turn two, I'd say I want to be able to. So after getting a good, hope is 4 or 5 foundations at least to start
Mm-hmm.
with, I can get a good 2 pokes in at least, and then just kind of back off and defend depending on what the hand looks like and what my opponent has in front of me. Like how big their hand is, but I'm using binding cloth in here. So
Which
basically,
one?
the binding cloth assault and the capture are both. I definitely want to use them together if I can. That'd be the goal. And kind of basically, it's kind of like I'm waiting to see which one's going to be the better option, either to use like kind of thrust like or the kick package. Like if I'm trying to, basically the kick package is going to be used for getting pokes in, getting some damage because they're going to be higher speed.
Mm-hmm.
And then like late game, maybe it would be like turn 4 or 5 or however long it might go, but turn 4 or 5 would be like going in for the kill with binding cloth assault and capture, because I'd want to be able to mill their hand out. And with Eraserhead, that's super super easy to do, having erase constantly. So if they're like, oh, I'm going to go for a kill turn, and they're like, hey, I'm going to have 2 or 3 cards to block or defend to try to not die, the goal would be to use binding cloth capture to kind of like mill their hand out, or lessen the chances of them being able to block all the attacks if they're planning on trying to block that last turn. Um, and most people can't block lows. Usually they struggle blocking low.
Right.
Uh, so that's kind of the game at the moment. But that's definitely why I want to get on and get your advice and kind of see how I might be able to tweak or fine tune like a strategy with what I have here. So
Yeah, I love the idea of blinding cloth capture. I like it a lot. I think that we are split though in two separate ideas, right? So if we
Yeah,
want to take
yeah,
and we look at the requirements of blinding cloth capture, which is like the card that you talked about the most, right?
yeah,
Its combo requirement is the card directly before it inside the card pool has to have the combo word on it. Has to have that
yeah.
blue combo in it, and the only other combo that we're playing is blinding cloth assault, right?
Mm. Mm. Yeah,
Flying thruster kick, reciprocal extend, high engine kick, reciprocal burst do not have the combo word. So if I find reciprocal burst, high engine kick, blinding cloth capture, it's just like a
right.
blank move, right? All it does
Yeah,
is seal one of their cards, which is good. It's fine. But as a 5
yeah.
diff, 4 low for 5, or I guess 6 low for 5 inside of Eraserhead, like I don't think that that's enough value personally.
Okay. Sure, sure.
If we wanted to take out some of this tried and true kick engine, right?
Yeah,
The things that are like very very consistent, very practice and known, we could do that for more of a binding cloth capture type win, right? But I don't know what under chaos, or excuse me, under void has the combo words in my hero. So we can just take a look, right? All of Eraserhead stuff, gutter punk elbow, and reciprocal acceleration kick, and none of these hit really hard, right? Which is
yeah,
like Eraserhead's big issue is closing out the game, which is why reciprocal burst is like so nutty in him.
yeah.
Are there foundations as Eraserhead? Are there foundations that you're afraid of? Are you afraid? Oh man, my opponent has this thing on the board. What do I do?
Yeah. I guess like mirror matches, it could be helpful maybe because my assumption is most if I faced any eraser heads during the provisionals, I feel confident. I think most of them are not going to be running binding cloth capture.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so like being able to seal, or I guess being able to have an option to seal maybe a specific important card for the turn that they were really hoping to either defend with to
Yeah.
like survive that turn, or to either finish off me for some reason with a certain card, without having to use a race as to waste. Like, I mean, definitely use it if I don't need it in the next falling turn if I'm trying to do a kill turn, but
Mm-hmm.
it gives me an option to not have to remove an erase from the game, which is really nice. So
Yeah. The
um,
my big thing about blind capture cloth is I think that the bottom enhance is really useful. The top enhance kills people, but you do have to set your deck up to do it. Right, your deck has to be
yeah,
kind of made to do so, which means you have to just play
okay,
a lot of other Eraserhead cards, and we just don't have
yeah,
the room because of what we're playing here. And I don't think like capture into capture is just not quite good enough. I will say the
right,
bottom enhance to seal something like a reset, a You're So Obvious, a short circuit, so that your reciprocal burst comes in and kills them is good. To the
okay,
point where like I would put this in the sideboard maybe, right, as like a two of like, oh man, my opponent is doing this thing, and I'm tired of them doing that thing, so I
yeah,
will seal that card, right?
yeah,
Oh, I see that they have one fulfilled my duty. Well, I have blinding cloth capture, and I don't have to use the erase. I can cancel their character and then binding cloth to seal that thing, and then continue my turn, right? Like
yeah,
I think that is good. We're
okay.
only playing double recipro. Why so?
At first, so honestly, like this morning, I put this together and I was like, I've been going back and forth for several days of trying to figure out like what do I really want to commit to, and after today or even after the video, I'm gonna, I'm gonna commit to this deck and grind out as many matches as I can to kind of just get us familiar and comfortable with what I have here, or like the version after we're kind of done, getting it edited and everything, kind of the best advice I can get with how to maybe make this deck work how I'm thinking of it
Mm-hmm.
to work. So that's honestly at the moment the goal. So it's like um, getting even the flying thruster kick, like I thought like, okay, I probably don't need that, but the attack lineup is at 22, so I'm like, I don't know if that's a little too high for 36 foundations, but
So let me just drop some stuff on you. So I think
Mhm.
Flying Thruster Kick is only playable in Eraserhead. I think it's pretty much bad everywhere else because of
Yeah,
how consistently he can just give it speed. So sometimes it's just
yeah,
like a 6 high for 6 on a 4 diff with a 1 mid block that has a momentum out and a deadlock ability. Like it's just like a good move, right? And I think it's
yeah.
only really good in him. I'd only want to play it as like a 3 or 4 of inside of Eraserhead at a 0 and pretty much everybody else, unless that character can, unless there's another character in set 2 that could just like give free speed like Ida 3 can, right? Recipro
Yeah.
Stand is borderline unfair. You could easily put it on the watch list and feel fine about it. It's not egregious itself, but the advantage that it gives of +2/+2 to the next, it's a 4 for 4, so that's not nothing. And then draw a bunch of cards. You can just extend it to extend, or like extend into Flying Thruster Kick, and you've got a 4 diff 8 high for 8. That's insane. Like that's crazy advantage.
Right.
That's 12 damage on 2 checks and you didn't commit anything, and you drew a bonus card. Um,
Hmm.
High engine kick is fantastic. It says that your pokes are like hyper hella guaranteed. It's really, really good. And reciprocal burst is the main way that you kill people. I don't think that you need blinding cloth capture or blinding assault in your deck. I don't think that you need these
Yeah.
cards. I don't think that they are giving you the same value that your kick
Huh.
package is. With that said,
Yeah.
I don't think that you need other kicks in the package. I think that you should actually take some of these chops and jabs out of your sideboard and put them in your main board in these slots.
Oh,
You could easily play like a 19 attack a deck, right? First off, we're for sure getting rid of Blinding Cloth Assault because the
yeah.
combo doesn't even work.
Okay.
The combo only works if the previous one was a weapon, and the only ones that you have are itself and then Blinding Cloth Capture. So, like, more than
Right.
half of your deck doesn't combo to do the cool draw thing. So that card's just gone. It's playable in a different Eraserhead deck. The kicks are the better package, and so you should just get rid of it. Blinding
Okay.
Cloth, we're going
Great.
to put it at 2 of in our sideboard. We're going to get rid of it altogether as we refresh our page. Look, they're down here.
Okay.
Jabs are going to come in at a 4 of.
Okay.
And the reason we're playing jabs at a 4 of, and we're not quite there yet, is we're playing triple coordinated effort, and I want to be able to go pick up some of these moves.
Yeah. Right.
Right?
Right. Right.
You blocked my reciprocal extend. Neat. I will pick
Right.
it back up. And then I would take and put burst at a 3 of, and then probably call it a day.
Okay.
I think that this is
Okay.
a very fine lineup. This is a fine lineup. If you wanted to play
Yeah.
more attacks, you could easily
Yeah.
look at the chop going in. You could easily look at engine rush going in because it is a low block on an attack, and I think that that card is not bad in your deck.
Okay.
That card is another momentum out. Engine rush. It's a kick, powerful 2 EXE, commit a foundation. Its attack is not blocked. Draw 2 cards. So if you can reciprocal extend into rush, it becomes a 9 mid for 7 that you just commit another card, draw your 2 bonus, and then build, and like hella build. It does say that you kind of got to check 2 5s in order to make the game plan work, but that's
Yeah.
fine. Your other
Yeah.
option is you could take some of these down instead of being 4 ofs. You could take like Flying Thruster Kick down to a 3 of, High Kick down to a 3 of, Jab down to a 3 of, and then you could play triple Grasping Tape Toss to guarantee your momentum so that your Recipro Burst is always live, so that your plus ultras whenever you want to put it on attacks is always live. I think that that is a fine addition as well. And so for that, I'm going to toss 1 into your sideboard. And that card's
Okay.
also really good for your Sero switch off, which I love Sero, and I think this Hardened Pummel is hilarious. I think it is very cool, and it's going to catch a lot of people off guard. I think it's really neat.
Part of me was like, oh, the mirror match. I was like, if I face any other erasers, I'd like to have this as an option to like, maybe close out the game faster or easier.
Right.
But
Right.
I'm not sure who else I could use it against, like Har and Pummel, but it would be just specifically for like, either negating plus ultra if anyone's using it, so I don't get plus ultra if I try to go with that card, or I guess those are some of my thoughts about it. But
Yeah. On to the Pummel is good as in the discard build. On fun stuff, I completely agree. Yeah, that's the thing is like if you want to go with the combo package, right? Your issue is you had an issue killing people in that package, which is why we play Reciprocal Burst in the kick. But Pummel does just as much damage as Burst, and it's a 7 mid for 10. So like that feels really, really good after you've discarded cards out of their hand. That feels great.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, yeah, but I just don't know if we have room for high engine kick and reciprocal extend if we are playing that build. I think your tech
Right.
lineup is like really, really tight. Um, the other option that you have, right, because I mean, if you like playing higher attack count decks, is we could just toss these 3 grasping tape tosses back in the deck, and now you're back up to your 22. This feels super, super. This feels super good to play as your poke and then build back out, knowing that you're playing a lot of attacks, and so just like playing real safe. But
Yeah.
playing this as a 5 diff on turn 2, it does not feel amazing if I've only built like. Even if I've built 4 foundations, right? Like playing this and then committing half my board in order to do things. If my opponent has any way to interact with my board with breaker
Right.
or card pool stuffing or committing my cards or so on and so forth, this is a bad poke because
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna check a 3 on it. So that's just that's something that we get to think about.
Okay.
Follow me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. Action wise, 4 race, obvious. Double plus ultra, love it. How many plus ultras do you own?
I own 2. That's why there's 2 there.
Perfect. If you are finding that you are running out of room in your main board for cards and you want to slim it down, you can easily take 1 plus ultra, leave it in the main, and one in the side, and feel fine about that. And then side your second
Okay.
plus ultra in, and maybe even like take out an erase for it, or take out a foundation that's not doing quite so much.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm not sure that you necessarily need to do that. We'll look at the numbers whenever we get done. Hit me with this foundation package, or the foundation lineup. What do you think is like the best card, the worst card? What do you like about your foundation picks here?
Well, let's see here. The sideboard I feel like influences some of the sideboard that right before we started definitely influenced the foundation, some of the foundation count, and um for sure. So like I feel like Night Watch needs to be at least a 2 of. Just having an option to cancel out something that could be like a big threat or just cause some really good destruction for someone's turn. Since it's happened enough to me where I'm like, man, this card's pretty good and useful.
Yeah.
And then I might want to bump it up, but I'm not really sure like numbers wise what to shift around yet. So
Right.
I don't. I feel with the sideboard in mind, or like having hardened chops or having the jabs now in the main board, having a coordinated effort at a 3 definitely for sure. I don't know if I should put it at a 4. Because I know it's unique. I mean, it's great to check it. I wouldn't sure. I mean, it could obviously happen to draw into 2 coordinated efforts, which always sucks. Like you have 2 of those in your hand, but like.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have Manly Passionate Guy, so if I didn't build it on turn 1, the goal would be I have 3 of, so I can like, if I did build a Manly down, I can block. It's a good, coordinate effort's a good mid block, so I like build it down on that defending turn. So that would be kind of my reasoning of only having a 3 coordinated effort instead of 4. But
I think if you were sideboarding Kirishima as opposed to Sero, I think the 4 would be good, and we'd probably toss that 4th one in the sideboard. I think
yeah,
that you only probably need, like if we're making cuts, I think you only probably need double coordinated effort. I don't think you need the 3rd one with how your deck works. The only thing that interacts with it is the hardened jab, right? Like
yeah,
we're not playing chop to rebuild. We're not playing pummel to rebuild.
yeah,
It's just effort and jab in order to buy back this thing. So this is like a neat little. It could be a 6-card package as opposed to a 7-card package, and we can save some room. If we come all the way down here to our blocks, you've got 30 mid blocks, and a lot of them are your attacks, which we'll never block with a 1 mid block on an attack because we can just go pick up an erase, right? It'll just never happen.
yeah,
And so we need our foundations to cover our highs and our lows, like a
yeah.
lot. Is there a better card than Late Riser to put in our deck? Because this card sucks.
Yeah,
This card
I
sucks.
wasn't really sure about it. That's why I only had a 2 of. I didn't want any more than that if I had it in there. I was thinking either bumping up Mediator or Night Watch. I mean, now actually, especially now that it super sucks now that the both the eraser cards
Mm-hmm.
like are out, so that
Yeah.
it totally makes not have it in anymore. Actually,
Yeah. The answer is no. The answer is absolutely not. Manly Passionate Guy, Gotcha, Heroic Lineage, and the bad card Late Rise are the only options we have under Void. But we're playing 4 tape, and so that turns every move into a mid, which I think is cool. And so we probably are good on it, you know? Ghoul Magus in the chat says this leader should run 4 hardened 2 IMO. I agree. I agree completely. And we will for sure get there. Yeah, we probably could cut this out totally and just reduce our deck count. We're at what, 61? I think if we got to like 65, I think I'd feel
Yeah.
real or sorry, not 65. If we got to like 55 to like 58, I think I'd feel really good about it. Okay, Mediator. Hit me with your Mediator thoughts.
Yeah. So I had a 2 of. I feel like I only put 1 of. It's kind of like a fail-safe. Like, oh, if I was, kind of in a difficult spot on like defending, and I didn't, for some reason, it was like, turn 3, 4, or 5 or something, wasn't able to close anything out. If I had, I don't like the idea of destroying to like, save myself. But if I had to, then it's kind of like if I had a turn where I'm not using a race to minus speed, then I have at least one of the attack options to be -3 speed and sacrifice a foundation if I didn't have an erase in hand.
Right.
Kind of the most reason it's probably there. So, and the
Okay.
draw power if I used it, so that's nice. But
I think it's really good as a spam as an option, but I think that we're just going to be like on really really tight I think we're on really tight abilities in order to make that happen, right? Like we're playing double fulfilled my duty. I think this could easily be replaced for the 3rd mediator, right? Like we take this one out, we put the 3rd one of this in because this card does essentially the same thing.
Okay.
And like that is good. That is good. One thing fast is spooky, but we already have a bunch of mid blocks. If I could, I would probably want to pump this up to a 2 of because turning all of these into to the zone that they don't have, whether highs, lows, mids, if you're not fighting Racer Hit or whatever, is good.
Yeah.
Not watching a 2 of is great. All of these as the spams at a 4 of is awesome. Natural Leader and Villains Defeated. I actually want to just cut Coordinated down to a 2 of as well. And we'll see what that does to our deck. We're at 59 still? Okay. Natural Leader and Villains Defeated. What are your thoughts on these guys?
Yeah. So the Villains Defeated, I guess if I face any Kirishimas or Kirishima core builds that are, recycling their cards and they're like, what's his Eraser is, weaker against throws. So I figured if I had an option to remove their throws that they can't repick them back up, that would maybe be the biggest reason to maybe I'd put in the deck. So other than that, it's gives me plus health, so that's nice. Gives a little cushion to maybe survive a little bit longer or easier if I'm having trouble with throws or multiple throws or guaranteed damage attacks.
So my opinion is if you were to play these packages, I would switch them. Right, I would put Natural Leader at a 3 of and Villains Defeated at the 2 of at the bare minimum. Specifically because this card deals with coordinated effort. First enhanced commit. You can't play abilities on. It says for the rest of this enhanced step. Man, that doesn't even work. Just kidding. That sucks. I definitely thought it was for the rest of this attack. Natural Leader does not stop coordinated effort.
Yeah, it's just for the turn. It's just for the turn, I think, right? Or that attack
during this enhanced step. I'm not sharing my screen. I'm so sorry. That's so rude of me. I need to share this screen. My bad, buddy. It says during the enhanced step, and by the time coordinated triggers, it is after the attack is resolved. So we're very, very much past the enhanced step. Rough. Like we have to use a race on it. That sucks. So maybe we do keep Villains Defeated in at the 3 of. Honestly, like your assessment of it beating good against Kirishima, I don't think is amazing because they'll just coordinated it before Villains Defeated gets to trigger, right? So the way
Okay.
that the game
I,
works
I
is
actually, yeah, I was working. I was trying to figure out that problem. I was like, oh, which one goes off first? And I don't. Yeah.
so if your opponent is bad, you can get away with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll walk you through it, right? They play a move, they've got effort, you've got villains. You block their move, you go to responses on block, nobody has any. Damage
Mhm.
resolution, damage happens. The attack resolves. Turn player, so the person who's playing the attack, has an option to trigger their coordinated effort first. If they
Okay. Yeah.
pass, then you can use villains defeated to remove it, and then they would go back to having priority that they could then coordinate effort, but there's nothing there to coordinate now, right?
Mhm.
So you could replay that backwards, and as turn player, I have the chance to coordinate effort. I will build it down because my effect just happens, and then I'll give you the priority to villains defeated, and you're allowed to play villains defeated, and you will gain your 2 health, but there's not a target there to remove, and so it doesn't.
Oh.
Yes,
Okay.
so you will gain your health, but the card does not leave. We do probably want to toss Hardened in our deck somewhere. Let me go find that card.
It's funny you bring that up because I thought of like that was like one of the first ones out of the foundation lineup I was putting in, and I'm like, well, do I need it? I was like, I'm not sure. But then I put the Kirishima cards in my sideboard. That's why I think I took it out at first.
Right. I mean, giving commit for the +2 is like a good exchange rate. We do not
Yeah.
feel terrible about that. So we got the 3 Hardened in our sideboard. Now we have to figure out how we're going to deal with it. We have 60 cards in our main currently. Just because this is at 3 and 3.
Yeah.
Man, try to find the room for it is tough.
Like would like letting go of I mean, would you think letting go of natural leader or villains defeated at all would be
I mean, we could easily take these cards and put them in our sideboards. Like I don't feel bad about that at all. Natural Leader
yeah,
says that my Reciprocal Birds get faster. Natural Leader says that these cards get the +2 speed, so that they
yeah,
can be better pokes at a commit cost. Right, basically +1 difficulty because you had to tap or commit an extra card to give it the speed is like worth it. Um,
yeah.
and then Villains Defeated is not good versus Kirishima, which I think that we're gonna see like a third of the field being Kirishimas, right? I would not be surprised if like 1/3 of your matches on Saturday are gonna be Kirishimas. So maybe we just
Yeah,
toss this guy into the sideboard,
sure.
and we
I
put
guess the good
these
news is
Hardens in the main.
if I'm not facing Kirishima, then I guess the only other thing is like being able to remove maybe like if someone needs to rely on an attack chain, like a punch chain or a Jiro chain or something,
Yeah,
or a Ochako chain, then I feel like that's a decent card to have available. So I don't know if I don't know if I'd want to scrub it out, but definitely maybe at least sideboard,
yeah, that's how I
two
feel.
or
I
three.
think Villains Defeated should be easily a sideboard card. Um,
Yeah.
it is. It feels okay versus Jiro. I don't think it's very good versus Ochako. I don't think it's very good versus um uh versus the punch chains, unless it's like their very first one, right? Punk is bringing um a good point. It's good versus Atsui, and so like
Oh,
you just
okay.
clear her first card, and then she doesn't get to she doesn't get to bounce that one out very quick.
Oh,
Fun
huh.
stuff says it's about all you have versus throws, so just win game 1 versus the throws, easy peasy.
One game one. I like it.
That is a That is, I mean, what we have there, right? So the question is would you rather be more aggressive in game 1 versus the throw decks, or would you rather be more defensive with villains defeated versus the throw decks? And so you then take and you could just sideboard the other one, harden or villain.
Yeah. Prop.
And this is where like you go to testing, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, this exactly. This is the next like 24 hours, 36 hours of testing what we're kind of talking about here to be like, okay, like, is there any final squeaks and, uh, tweaks I need to do? And if not, then, I'll figure it out, I guess.
This is a 60 card deck, dude. Like this is not a terrible main deck
Yeah.
to start with. I think the biggest fault that you have is I think that your Sero matchup is going to be tough because you've got literally nothing for low blocks. You're
Yeah.
playing 12 out of your 60, which is really really rough. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think? Well, I guess before I had come on here, I did have Kirishima at first, and I was like, okay, well, what other Void characters could I use? And I thought, okay, I mean, yeah, the low block situation sucks because I don't
Mm-hmm.
know with Void, is there? I'm trying to think of. I mean, Heroic Lineage is a low block.
I
What
mean,
else is a low block?
all we could really
Uh,
do is just play attacks, right? We play
yeah,
attacks under the void symbol that have lows, so Hardened Frenzy, Binding Kick, Sudden Tape Shock, Engine Rush. And we get to find one of those and put it in like a 2 of to push us up to our 12 to 14. Maybe if we put it in a 3 of, put us back to that 22 number that you originally had. It could be
yeah,
up higher, right? Like we could play triple Hardened Frenzy, and that makes our Hardens feel better. That makes our jabs feel better. It's
yeah.
a 6, possibly 7 high for 5, or we play the Engine Rush, like I said, and maybe try and draw more cards. I
Okay,
don't think Sudden Tape Shop is good. Binding Kick is a neat combo with an attack that just like it also draws cards. It's a 6 high for 4. It randomly has a momentum out we don't necessarily care about because we just want to burst speed people to death. And it has
yeah,
the infinite with coordinated effort and Night Watch that is accidentally online if my opponent just doesn't know about it, right? If they're not playing around it, you could just
yeah.
find a Binding Kick, then be at 14 foundations, no way to get them, and then you just kill them, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Or the other option is you just play Kirishima in your sideboard, right? And you versus Sero, and you understand that they're going to be changing the zones. You have to play unbelievably tight versus that character in order to win that match. I think he's super good.
I guess yeah. Now that the deck is 60 and lower, I mean it helps to because I was like, oh, I didn't want to put Kirishima in a deck that's like above 60. I'm like, he's a 5-hander, so I'm like,
Kind of.
I feel like just gonna or wait. I mean, yeah, right.
Kind of.
I mean, like, in the beginning, he's a 5-hander at the start, but then yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I didn't want to. If I have above 60, I was like, I might get bad hand draws and like just kind of have a rough match with bad hand draws, or inconsistent hand draws, I guess. Um, yeah, I mean, I definitely like it a lot better now. I'm wondering if I did boost up, 2 or 3 more attacks to put in to be at like a 21, 22. I don't know if like
I don't think Binding Kick is a bad option. It still works
yeah,
with your Reciprocal Extends to make them 8 high for 6s that draw you cards and could potentially squeak in a momentum for the extra damage, right? So it could be an 8 high for 9, which feels good,
mhm.
right? And it's got the low block. It lets you draw more cards early. Like I don't think that like this is a bad look for your attack lineup. This is an
Yeah,
aggressive lineup because you're playing a 7 hand size character with 21 attacks, right?
yeah,
And just realize that like as you're building, as you're playing, statistically, you're almost 50% gonna check your attacks.
hmm,
I mean, 35 to
yeah,
21, like that's kind of a high ratio, kind
yeah.
of. So
So
like
kind of
is
like during defending, there's definitely a higher chance of checking attacks
mm-hmm.
and then not maybe drawing into them on that next turn.
And you are always giving things -2 speed, so the minus to your the making doing your math of like it's at printed speed, but your check has +2 is like another way you can look at it, right? But just realize that eventually that will catch up to you if you think about your math that way,
Okay, huh?
right? It's like instead
Yeah,
of
yeah,
instead of if my opponent is playing their own Recipro Extend, right? It's
yeah.
not a 2 speed mid, it's a 4 speed, but I check a bunch of 5s. Like that's a way that you can think about your math because we're going to be blocking with a race pretty much the entire time. Like if you want to think
Yeah.
about your math backwards, you can look at it that way. Which in
Huh.
that case, it does not feel bad having a bunch of 3s, but realize that
Yeah.
like you're kind of giving yourself like, oh, this is my excuse to play a lot of moves.
What would separating like doing flying thruster kick at a 3 and biting kick at a 3, is that too like giving too many options for like seeing either
I
or should
don't think
I?
so at all. I don't think so at all. I love playing not 4 of cards. I think spreading out your attack lineups is really, really solid. And like Flying Thruster Kick is best in Kirishima, but like Flying Thruster Kick sucks in Sero. And so if we take and have 3 Grasping Tape Toss in our sideboard for Sero, or 3 Pummel in our sideboard for Sero, we instantly just get to take out Flying Thruster Kick and put in this other cool, useful card. Right?
Yeah.
Sero does not give this thing speed unless we have a Think Fast.
Right.
Right?
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Any final thoughts? Is there anything in here that you vehemently disagree with? I feel like this list looks a lot cleaner. I think you're gonna have to figure out what your sideboard looks like.
Yeah.
That's the real challenge.
Yeah, I think the sideboard in the next 24 to 36 hours is going to be the challenge as I play test and figure out what I should put in or keep in or what's going to be most reliable. And I think a lot of the cards you suggested definitely are going to be my top priority.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for all your help, man.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the support over on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. It's
and
good luck. I can't wait to see you in finals.
Yeah. All right. See ya.
All right. Peace, dude.